Welcome to Seat Time, everybody. Brian Pierce here. Wow, I can't even tell you what's been going on this evening. For about 45 minutes, I have been plugging cables, unplugging cables, just standing up, jumping it upside down, turning around, spinning. I put a hat on because I'm freaked out. Got my fly racing shirt. I've been trying to get episode 63 off the ground for at least 45 minutes now. Jason Hooper is our guest this evening. He has been phenomenally patient and up to the task of following the election and letting me know while things were going on. I do blame my wife, but just in the sense that she would unplug cables and not tell me that she did that. That's not her fault. That's just what she does. And, of course, I don't check that they're plugged back in. So that's what happened to a degree. Mr. Jason Hooper, I would like to know how your evening is going, kind sir.
It's going pretty well, man. Just hanging out. Watching lots of
waiting for me to get my shit together.
Yeah. Haven't spent enough time in front of the computer today, so it's all good.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna take that as sarcasm.
Good one.
I like it. Well, let's just jump right to this shit then. Okay, so I think I haven't spent enough time on the internet after this weekend. It was so shaky that I had to try to come up with something that was better. Apparently, I brought all my GNCC bugs from the webcast this past weekend home with me. Unfortunately, it was not what we had planned in the sense of the signal. I mean, lots to learn, lots to figure out, all that kinds of stuff. But, you know, we did have the wrap-up, and I kind of wanted to see if you would possibly want to do a little bit of a recap with me on this season. Now, I have some slight notes. By no means do I have anything that is a novel, but a couple things from each round that kind of stuck out in my head when I was going back through some things. I didn't know what you would think about that.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. All right, I'm going to keep the camera on you while I kind of go through some of this stuff. So,
okay, that's scary.
That's because you look good. You look good. All right, so, okay. I would love to just be like, oh my gosh, these guys won. Amazing racing this weekend, I thought, at the GNCC. It's always cool. I think I'm so excited because of the fact that I'm not always at the races. I'm not at every GNCC. You know, you were at 13 GNCCs. You're at the ISDE, the TKO, all kinds of other races. So, you know, when it's unimpressive racing, I have a feeling that it sticks out more in your mind than it does in mine. But being at the race, it was really exciting. One of the things, though, if we kind of go back to the beginning, we kind of didn't even think from Florida down at River Ranch that Russell was actually going to even be a contender. We thought so before the race, but after the race, with his shoulder injury that he had during the race, and then the way that Mullins and Whibley actually kind of went, you know, down to the last line, it looked like, you know, after round one, I was like, where's Russell going to be? It's going to be between Mullins and Whibley, the two past champions. I mean, what kind of stuck out from your mind in Florida?
Oh, in Florida, for sure, you know, Caleb getting hurt was a big thing, but the other big thing was Whibley and Charlie went down to the wire, and literally they both collapsed when they crossed the finish line. And we've seen that happen before where the guys that, you know, win in Florida or, you know, really overly exert themselves in Florida end up struggling the following weekend in Georgia because, you know, we race on Tuesday and then just come right back that following Sunday. So that short turnaround is tough, and, you know, the sand whoops really take it out of the guys. So I'd say, you know, if any round for Caleb to have gotten hurt, that was probably the best one because while, yeah, he was battered and bruised going into Georgia, but Whibley and Charlie weren't anywhere near 100%. You know, they were having to get IVs and stuff after the race. So in a way, you know, the way that worked out for Caleb, you know, was sort of fortunate because he ended up not as dehydrated. He didn't have blisters on his hands. He obviously had a separated shoulder, but you know,
to that point,
it could have been a lot worse, right? You know, so I think when you look back on it, yeah, he got pretty lucky, you know, for the championship that it turned out that way, and obviously when we go to Georgia, he proved that.
Yeah, no, that was definitely one of the things that I thought was really neat was the fact that he came back so strong in Georgia and came away with such a I guess, you know, dominating win. And then another thing that I took back when I was looking through some things was that Aaron Plessinger came away with the overall amateur. And the reason why that kind of stood out is just because of the fact that he got the overall amateur here, and I know that he was in the top multiple other times for that. And then in his first XC2 race, later in the year, comes out and gets second on the podium. And so that's why it kind of stood out for me, for round 2 there at the general, if you will. But yeah, I mean, was there any other kind of big things there at that round 2 in Georgia that stood out for you?
In Georgia?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're testing my memories. Well, I mean, I think those top 3 guys really separated themselves again and proved that they were going to, at that point they were going to be the 3 main guys. Caleb ended up coming back for the win, but Charlie and Whibley, rounding out the podium, I think they kind of proved that they were going to be the 3 guys at that point that were going to be in it for the championship.
Yeah. Moving on to Steel Creek, I thought the fact that was the one where it looked like the closest going through stuff that Stuart Baylor was going to try to come away with the overall win on adjusted time. And he had it at one point, but then wound up coming in second overall. Do you know, Hoop, if that was the best he did throughout the season, or if he actually at one point was able to do that again?
I can't remember. I think that might have been the closest that he got, but the closest anyone got all year actually ended up being Andrew DeLong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Now you're gonna make me look like an idiot because I can't remember all this stuff. What race it was, but
cool
it was
we're on the internet.
It was either Kentucky or Indiana. I'm gonna have to look on the internet and see. Yeah, Indiana, the Limestone 100. He was,
that was when he got
14 seconds.
Yeah, that was when he got his first
DeLong
XC2.
14 seconds away. So yeah. It was kind of funny because, before the season, all the hype was about Baylor being the first one to possibly get that overall win from the second row, and I'm pretty sure that DeLong ended up being the guy that came the closest.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you bring that up because I definitely think that DeLong, with the way that Baylor won last year and the fact that he dominated for a little bit, got hurt, and then kind of disappeared, but when he was dominating, he was going at it, and the fact that Andrew DeLong was out for 2 races, not many people really expected him to come back and be as dominant as he was, and he came back and just freaking railed all season. I mean,
because he got pretty hurt, punctured a lung and all that, broken collarbone and stuff. Like, right. He was pretty well jacked up, and he wanted to race Florida and Georgia, at least just go out and score points, and I bet he's ready to strangle Fred Andrews now, because if he would have rode around in 10th place at both of those races, he would have himself a championship this year, but sometimes it's not worth risking it. He's still a young kid and he's got plenty of chances out there. And I'm sure he's going to be gunning for it next year.
Yeah. Speaking of Fred Andrews, one of the things that I noticed from Big Buck was, that was the race back where Thomas came back from his split. He was on the privateer KR4, KTM, and he did it pretty good. He came back 3rd place in the XC2 class. So, and obviously now he's got the championship in the XC2 class, but I mean, he was on the KTM 2-stroke, went to the to the Husky, kind of did his thing there, left, and came back. I don't know, it was all over the place, but obviously the guy could freaking ride. He didn't seem to take as much time to change as everybody thought he would.
Well, I mean, a lot of people didn't realize it, but a couple years ago when he was racing for Freddie on Yamahas, he was racing in Canada on KTMs. So he was racing GNCCs one weekend on a Yamaha and then going up to Canada and racing one of their championships up there for like KTM of Canada. So it's not the first time that he's switched brands like that. So, obviously it didn't hurt him too bad. And no offense to the rest of the guys in XC2, but DeLong, Baylor, Thomas are a good bit faster than the majority of the guys in that class. And so, he got 3rd at that race at the Big Buck. He wasn't really in it at all for the race win or anything like that, but he could still manage a podium because he's just a better rider than a lot of the guys in that class. So
yeah, that's interesting to hear you say that kind of stuff. I like getting your perspective because you kind of really do know. You've been around it for so long. You're out at all the races and things like that. So it's kind of interesting. I had no idea that he was switching brands so much. I guess that his deal then when he was with Yamaha was only like for the States, so him going to Canada and racing a different brand was not like a breach of contract?
Yeah, and I don't think I might be wrong with this, but I'm pretty sure at that point the FAR team wasn't really factory Yamaha. They were
Okay.
like from the Andrew Cycles in Ohio, so I think they were just kind of riding Yamahas. So yeah, it was just a North America deal or just a GNCC deal. I'm not 100% sure. I just know that he was up there doing that,
Right.
and it wasn't a problem. So
Hey, man. Well, that's good for him. I think moving forward, round two, one of the highlights I wrote down was Mammoth. I thought that was awesome that Rory Mead got his first XC1 win, and then as well, he did it on a two-stroke. And looking through the notes that I had, it looked like Nate Canny was the last one to do an XC1, or the last one who had an XC1 win on a two-stroke was
the Ironman,
2008, right?
yeah, the Ironman, yeah.
And Ironman is typically the last race, right? Last year we had Loretta
Right.
Lynn's last, and
Yeah,
now we have
it's for all the years that I had been going. It was the last race until last year, which they got all screwed up with the rain delays,
Right.
with the flooding and all that stuff. So
Well, then, do you like the Loretta Lynn's being last? Do you think that this is a changing of the guard? I've enjoyed it, but as I've said, I have not been a large attender of the GNCCs. The two Loretta Lynn's have been my only GNCCs. So, am I totally missing out because of the fact that I haven't been to Ironman, or do you think this is kind of a changing of the
yeah,
guard?
yeah, it's hard to compare, man. The Ironman is a race all on its own. The crowd there is insane. The last 3 years they've had over 10,000 people through the
That's
gate,
a lot of
which is
people.
just insane. The
And
track's
is
pretty
that
cool, and
spectators,
it just
or
becomes
that's like riders and spectators?
yeah. So I mean, they'll have like a couple thousand riders, but like 10,000 people have paid entry, so there's probably somewhere around 8,000 people that aren't racing.
Right. That is awesome. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. So I think I'm not too old school, but I some traditions are kind of nice, and I think maybe more or less not just the location, but racing in November is kind of weird. It's always been kind of associated with the end of October is when the GNCC season is over, and after being on the grind for the whole season, you kind of think that last weekend in November or the next last weekend in November is it, and then you kind of get a load back up for one more. So
right, you
it's
don't want to start
different.
you don't want to start your holidays at Thanksgiving. You'd like to have all of November off.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad, man.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. And, it's thinking back to when I was in college, and you're like, oh, I get a 3-month break. Now that I quote unquote have a full-time job and all that stuff, it's like, damn it, I just want like a month off somewhere. That would be awesome. But one of the things, like moving forward, I was took a couple notes too, like on round 6. Sorry, I'm not looking directly at the camera. I'm trying to read notes. I'm not gonna lie. As Hoop knows, I do not have the best memory, so that happens.
Correct.
But yeah, no. So the Limestone was a new venue, and that's the
Right.
one where we saw Chris Bach come back from his split. He was on the Yamaha, so he had
With
just
Beta.
split with
Yeah,
Beta.
that's right.
And then that was the one where DeLong got his first XC2 win of this season.
Of the season. Yeah.
So that was, for being a new venue, that seemed like there was a lot going on right there. Now, with Chris Bach and the split with Beta, all that stuff went down. Honestly, I don't know too much about it. It sounds like he was looking for more help than he was getting, cost too much money, whatever it was. Wound up on the Obermeyer Yamaha with a little bit of help from JGR or modifications from JGR. Do you know if that is going to carry through? Is that a 2013 thing? Or I have absolutely no idea.
Honestly, I have no idea. I saw today that Chris was selling his Yamahas. He had them listed on Facebook, and he said he
did
didn't
hear
know what he
that.
was riding and wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't know and wouldn't be able to buy anything unless he sold those bikes. So yeah, I honestly don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on right now in the industry. So if he's getting any sort of help from those guys, I'd be surprised. If it's real help, I'd be surprised to see him on something different next year because there's nowhere to go really.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if I feel. Sometimes I feel like I don't know if I want to stay on point, Jason Hooper, or if we should just delve into anything that comes to my mind. And one of the things that comes to my
And
mind.
you're the boss.
Hey, I'm a horrible boss apparently. Okay, so kind of talking about what he would be on next year. I don't know if it's beating a dead horse or anything like that, but we just have to kind of wonder. And I think it's guys like you and me that if we could come up with a great idea together, or we could pull in other guests and we could come up with a way for people to, I guess create these more underground teams that can be more privateer status, but then find a way to bring in outside sponsors to help these guys out and get a little bit of money at it. That we can maybe kind of create something different for our off-road sport, like some of the online or for some of the motocross guys have done. I've heard rumors of some kind of green team, and it sounds like it's a small kind of privateer deal, and that's about it. That's all I heard. That's all I know.
You say dream team?
No, green, like Kawasaki.
You got so something I don't know because I haven't heard anything about that.
So,
last I heard from someone inside was that Cowie's not giving anybody bikes and parts next year. So somebody, if they're doing it, they're getting it through a dealer or they're
and that's the thing. But, no. And when I say what I like, again, there's little birdies that fly around all over the place, and sometimes they fall on your windowsill and they give you a little snippet of information, and that's about all you get. So you have what you have to work with, and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting, and I agree. I think that with what we've heard about Kawasaki pulling out of the off-road industry, or just dropping their team in general, this is not a different kind of step for them. This is something that it sounds like you're right, that it's probably some form of shop that is obviously a Cowie dealer that's coming in to step that up. I mean, do you think that that's where more teams should look? Do you think that they should, opposed to try to get factory sponsorship, that they should try to build up from a shop level first and then kind of go forward?
Well, I don't think they have much choice, because Suzuki's not going to help, Kawasaki's not going to help. KTM's already overexerting themselves, so unless you're getting, you're already on the KTM team, more than likely you're not going to get any sort of real support from them. But I actually just got a text message about something, so maybe there is some sort of true rumor to the Cowie thing, and I'm on the outside, but what I've heard is that there isn't.
Let's see if I just got something and got in trouble. Nope. Okay, that was a tweet from Dale Spangler saying that we suck and that I need to treat him more like my wife and move faster.
But
so that's dirty.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's not a whole lot of options. I think you kind of got to do that. But I've seen this a lot. Guys trying to find outside sponsors and even sort of inside the industry. Sort of inside in the industry sponsors. The endemic sponsors, and they're people are struggling to get money for off-road because it's just not as big and it's hard to justify the dollars. Obviously, they're not as big of an investment required to go off-road racing as there is motocross or supercross, but the audience is smaller too. And then, I've seen some people try and get, some auto industry sponsors and some, camping sponsors and stuff like that. And they're just not interested. I'm not that smart. I don't know all that marketing stuff, so I don't know. It's all about impressions and stuff like that. But I think, for a company, a $1 million or $1 billion company or something to spend $100,000 on GNCC almost isn't worth the time for them to have somebody manage that.
Right.
I mean, whereas they can, so that's at least what I'm heard. So.
All right. Well, I mean, it kind of almost seems like it would make sense if more, because say like motocross to supercross, they're so, I guess, mainstream now. I mean, I hate to totally use that term, but honestly they are. I mean, they're, on all the big channels and stuff like that. So if they're mainstream and they're factory backed, because of the fact that we're a little bit more local and a little bit more, I guess under the radar of those kind of things, it would make sense for shops to want to kind of support, because that way it's more, that's where their ROI is, their return on investment. It's going to be with the local racers and things like that, where motocross and supercross, they're just hoping that Honda in general, creates more of a, Honda, KTM, whoever, creates more of a buzz, and then they go to all their shops, where, maybe the guys that are in GNCC are kind of looking to, work with their shops in general, their more regional shops. Right. I don't know. But, so let me see. Some other stuff that I thought was with John Pinton. We had Josh Strang making a return to racing. I thought that was really neat that he came back. Unadilla, obviously, after the break. Duval got his first XC1 win. Powerline Park, Whibley crashes. That, I think, was a big one because, the fact that everybody was like, oh my God, Whibley's immortal. But you actually have been run over by Whibley.
I have been run over by Whibley. That is a true
Yeah, you
story.
have stitches, right?
2000. It was a long time ago. 2007 at the Steel Creek GNCC. I was run over by Whibley.
Do you have
And for all of you fans that get real close to the sides of the track and don't pay attention, it really, really, really hurts. So yeah.
Did you
Uh,
have to get stitches? Did you have to get stitches?
oh yeah, I got stitches. I don't know if you can see it. My head's kind of shiny, but there's one
Kinda.
right there on my forehead, and I got one on my knee too.
Did you lube up before the show? Cause you were like glistening.
I am a little greasy. Should have. I need. Like, you're supposed to get makeup before you go on camera, right? Like powder you
Well,
up
yeah,
so
if
you're
you're a
not
professional.
not shiny. But yeah, I got like 10 stitches in my leg and like 6 stitches in my head. So
That's pretty awesome, dude. I've never been run over by Whibley, so I mean, you got that up on me. That's good. Nothing.
gotcha. Yeah,
Nothing.
I don't know if that's something to brag about
Probably
or
not.
not.
Probably not. Okay, so Iron Man, Whibley running out of fuel. That was pretty epic. I heard that he possibly might have missed a pit, or that he just decided not to pit. Do you know if there was anything to that, or if that just kind of was a
Yeah, I talked a little bit to someone this weekend that would know, and the opinion was he did not miss a pit, but they feel like he didn't get all the fuel needed in one of his pit stops.
Okay, so maybe a little too NASCAR style, quick wise.
Yeah, and it's tough. There's so much going on in those pit stops, and everybody's trying to do them so fast, especially in a tight race like that. So, pull that quick fill up just a few seconds too late, especially a track like the Ironman where it's so fast. Those guys are
Right.
really on the gas. There's a lot of wide open field sections and stuff. So, um, that was a story that I heard that he because there was nothing wrong with the bike, and he definitely didn't miss a pit stop.
Yeah.
So
So what you're saying is if you're at Ironman and you're going really fast, don't pull out too early.
something like that.
That's what I got out of it anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna talk to Krista and see if I can fix y'all's relationship. Okay?
Yeah. Thanks.
Absolutely, kind sir. Okay, so you check the tweets because I just saw you look down at your phone and mine blew up at the same time. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of my GNCC experience this weekend at Loretta Lynn's while you figure out the tweets and see if we need to talk to anybody. I think it might have been Sir Robbie Robb who's trying to blow up, having a good time. So this past weekend, Loretta Lynn's round 13, which was Paul Whibley's 12th hole shot. I had that wrong actually on the webcast. I said 13th, but Jason Hooper in his Fly Racing post show made me look like an ass because he actually made sure that I remembered that Snowshoe does not actually have a hole shot. And
That's right.
I appreciate
No hole shot
I
there.
appreciate that because I'm an idiot. So, but that's okay. So I did the webcast this past weekend with Carrie Coombs, Jen Kenyon, Jeremy, and all those guys. Carrie Bowen. I mean, there was a bunch of. I think it was Jeremy Saylor, right? Is that how he pronounced his last name?
Yep.
All right. And we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of problems, unfortunately, though, with the feed. We apologize for that. What it was is just we had a pack that was supposed to be sending up all this, all these 3G and 4G signals. We had absolute crap with that. It did not work very well, so we had to go off a satellite. Every time we changed the cameras, it was going down. It was unfortunately not very good. We apologize. We'll have fun. I was talking to some people today, and there might be a chance that you'll unfortunately listen to my voice again next year. I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent for you guys. Okay, Paul Whibley came in with the championship. Caleb Russell got taken out. Let me rephrase that. Caleb Russell got into an altercation with Daniel Milner in the first turn. Now, Hoop, I made a post on Facebook asking about if anybody saw the footage, anybody has a picture, blah, blah, blah. Josh Strang says that you had footage and to watch your show, and I had watched it, but I watched it again. I didn't see, super awesome footage of the altercation.
No, this is like the Zapruder film or something, man. And I'm trying to stay out of it because I think people are going to see whatever they want to see in it. But this is my explanation. I've watched it a few times and I slowed it down as much as I could. It wasn't shot in slow motion or anything like that. And I blew up the corner. Looks like when they come into the first turn, everybody gets bunched up.
Right.
Caleb was beat Daniel into the first turn for sure. Milner kind of pinned it that last second. Everybody kind of comes to a stop. Looks like Daniel gets kind of hung up on the inside. There's a barrier there
Yeah.
on the inside of the first turn, and gets a little bit whiskey throttle and shoots straight while Caleb is turning right, and
Boom.
kaboom.
Yeah, and that's absolutely in that situation, man. That's totally Rubbins racing. Like, I mean, that's just unfortunately, what can happen when guys, especially you got all those guys going, for that whole shot. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. They should have just let Paul Whibley have it, and then everybody go from there, and it would have been probably a lot safer.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people that thought maybe it was intentional, and I don't think it was intentional. You don't see Daniel looking to his left, looking for Caleb or any sort of thing like that. And I think he was just a little overzealous, a little too much adrenaline, trying to make up for a bad start. He came all the way here from Australia, and I'm sure the result that he had wasn't what he was looking for. That's a long way to go, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff. But if Yamaha was gonna have someone take Caleb out intentionally, why wouldn't they just have Jordan Ashburn do it? They wouldn't have had to pay a couple grand for a flight and waste a dude's time for a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it was just an unfortunate incident, and that if anybody else had been where Caleb was, they would have gotten cleaned out too.
Yep.
It was just one of those things. It sucks that kind of put a sour note on the race, for a little bit, and it just kind of, if it was, or if it wasn't Milner, if it was any other rider, it would have just been a racing accident. But since he was on the same team as Whibley, that it was a
team
intentional move
right.
or something,
Yeah.
So.
No, I think you're right. I mean, it is hard because of the fact you're kind of in the moment. You're hoping there's no drama, but at the same time, you're looking for drama because it's a championship race and all that kinds of stuff. But then the problem is,
I was looking for battle drama, or maybe Caleb or Paul gets cleaned out in the last turn drama, not like dude gets taken out in the first turn by a teammate. That's boring.
Yeah, no,
but,
and I agree. That.
I give Caleb credit for catching up to him, and you could tell he was going for it at the beginning of the race. It's unfortunate that it didn't work out. I would have liked to have seen a better battle for the race. I'm sure Paul was pretty happy that it didn't turn out to be a bigger battle than it was, but it was all so much hype, so much build up, and it just kind of fizzled out about an hour into the race, and it was kind of a snooze fest. But it was Whibley earned it for sure. Dude was super consistent. If he hadn't been penalized at the Ironman, he would have podiumed every single race this year. As he said, 12 hole shots. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Damn impressive. Do you think that's the first time that's happened? Is that the first GNCC straight hole shot?
What's that?
Do you think that's the first straight hole shot?
It has to be. I don't know. It's definitely the first one since I've been coming.
Yeah, I mean that seems like a ridiculous stat, but I would think it is too. That it's the first one, the first guy to do that.
Yeah, it's gotta be, man. It's gotta be. That's pretty insane. There's so much, especially with a 4-stroke.
That's a solid point. But he probably has 8 different engine maps on that bike.
He says there's nothing factory, that it's just full on. It's just a Vortex ignition, that anybody could go out there and buy it. But
Whoa.
I can barely get my Suzuki to start in neutral.
Anybody could go out and pay for it. Anybody could go out and pay for it is different from anybody can go out and buy it. So, I mean, anybody could pay for it if they could find a millionaire to back them and make shit happen.
Yeah.
Another thing that was really crazy was the fact that we saw the XC2 championship, and by no means does this try to take anything away from anybody, but kind of fizzle out as well, because of the fact that I think people were looking for that head-to-head battle. They were so excited, or at least I was, and it sounded like most other people were, because we had the XC1 championship coming down with a 1 point distance. We had the XC2 championship coming down with Thomas and Baylor between each other with 1 point. I mean, we really wanted to see some racing. And unfortunately, it didn't happen, with Russell getting taken out in the first turn, and apparently Stuart Baylor breaking his collarbone the Thursday before. The fact that he got a halfway decent start and rode his way to into the, I guess it was the top 6. I really don't remember where he finished, but it was That's insane. But Jason Thomas, finally getting his XC2 championship. Andrew DeLong obviously getting a very well-earned win at Loretta Lynn's. I mean, we had some good racing. I don't think it was the drama people either wanted or expected, and so it kind of seemed like a snooze fest. In the XC1 it was, but XC2, there was more.
No, it was boring. Come on.
More.
It was boring. It was boring. Baylor was like 4 minutes behind after the first lap.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't blame Jason Thomas. I would have freaking been conservative as hell too. There's no sense in going out there and risking it. That dude's been trying to win one of these championships forever.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I got that pit board first lap, like Baylor 2 minutes behind, like, keep it steady, man. There's too many rocks out there, too many lappers, hill climbs and stuff for stuff to go wrong. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't what we had hoped for, but I mean, it's hard to complain too much, right? It was a 6 season. There was a lot of drama coming into it, but at least the championships were still decided that day, and it wasn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if it was all locked up coming into it, it would have been, maybe there would have been different stuff happening in the race, but it's hard to get excited about it. So, it is what it is, or it was what it was. I don't know. Yeah. It's just one of those things.
I guess it's behind us at this point, huh? Okay, well, quickly, because of the fact that I love people that support Seat Time, and I think everybody should support people that support it, flyracing.com. Absolutely amazing supporter of Seat Time. I have what I like to call their cocaine nosebleed shirt on because it's crazy. It's like a block party or something. I don't know. It's absolutely insane. Definitely go check it out. Flyracing.com. They've got all their 2013 gear out. It's been out for a while. We've looked at it. We want to touch it. We want to wear it. It's freaking sick. I think you should go check it out. Go buy it. You got one of their hoodies on, Hoop, right?
That's right. No.
No?
I have a Scott hoodie on.
This guy. That's okay. Scott's good too. I'm not going to lie. But, they're competing. These guys, they're much better. I'm just going to say it. Go with it. Right, Hoop?
Yep. Whatever you say.
I'm still trying to push buttons correctly. I have no idea what's going on. I'm like going. All right. So we talked a little bit about maybe like a Kawasaki birdie dropping some doo-doo on somebody's head with some knowledge. So if we were to talk differently about Suzuki stuff that came about yesterday and them filing bankruptcy because they are going to focus on their motorcycle, marine, and ATV lines and no longer bring their automobile lines into the States. Does anything like that, Hoop, make you think that means they could actually have an off-road team, or does that just mean that they're going to then put more, if they bring that into our dirt bike realm, that means that it's really just going to be more of a supercross and motocross effort?
Oh, yeah, I think that'd be way too far reading into it. I don't know. I mean, from my understanding, what happened at Suzuki, there were some serious management changes, and in Japan, and they had no interest in racing. So, that's why things got, all of the racing got shipped over to Yosh. So I would be floored if Suzuki came back off-road racing in any time in the immediate future. I just don't see it being on their radar. They're not really doing much. Even in motocross and supercross, it's not really them that's doing stuff. So
right, it's the Yosh team with Suzuki factory backing.
Right, like the new Carmichael thing. I don't really know all the details on that. What with Carmichael and Carey Hart I don't know where they're getting their money and all that stuff, but and how involved Suzuki is. But I know all those guys that got let go from Suzuki's race team last year got hired by Yosh, and they are already kind of working out of that office. So yeah, I would be really surprised if Suzuki came back.
Yeah, it would be awesome to see. I just had to ask. I saw the talk about it and stuff like that. But okay, so another weird thing that I saw on the internet today, just kind of like news-wise, that I wanted to talk to you about and see if it meant anything to you. Kevin Ruxtall, obviously Honda guy, kind of did some FMF stuff. I mean, we see him in the Enduro Cross. He's kind of like done Supercross every now and again, Outdoor Nationals. I mean, him going to Kawasaki, I mean, we see pictures of him from Motorsport Hillsboro with a KX 450F and a KX 250F, and not really much else to go on. Do you think that anything like that is something that we should be looking out for, some kind of off-road wise, or is that just kind of, something that he's probably just working on the side and just what it is?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the one thing, I had heard that Cali was going to keep paying their contingency. So.
And they've had good contingencies, right?
Right. So if they keep doing that, I mean, that would be a reason to keep riding green. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's possible. It's hard to say with him. I don't really know Kevin that well. He rode for Alan Stillwell's KTM team last year. And I know Alan fairly well, but like you said, he's a dude that'll race anything.
Yeah.
Motocross or works or whatever. So it's hard to say what kind of deals he's lining up.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. Okay, because of the fact that I am a Texan and I like to talk about a lot of the stuff that goes on in Texas, I just wanted to mention the Toro race that went on this past weekend. I'm not on staff anymore, but at the same time, I like to promote series that go on and have a good time around the Texas area. So round one happened at Rocky Ridge. Cole Kirkpatrick, who came back out of nowhere from doing all of his film work lately with Kodiak Productions to get the win. I was pretty impressed by that. Did you get to see any of the stuff that was going around the web today, Jason, about that?
I did not.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, absolutely not. I'm not gonna
Really?
I'm not gonna tell you that you suck because you don't pay attention. That's fine. It's whatever. My silence tells you.
I don't pay attention to a lot. That's
I was gonna
for
tell
sure.
you my silence tells you that you suck, not my words. Okay, so you had, I don't know if I would call it a task or more of something that you were supposed to come up with, and that would have been either a subject or some form of story that you wanted to talk about. Did you have a chance to come up with anything? If you didn't, it's okay because I have
that
more.
was a hard one, and I don't really know.
I have more.
I've been struggling about that. So, is it supposed to be like controversial? Do you want me to like start some controversy, or what do you
No.
what do you want?
This is like Hooper's highlight. Like you can
Hooper's highlight.
You could do whatever the
Yeah,
you could.
yeah, I'll talk about something.
I'll say it. You could do whatever the fuck you want.
I can. So, one thing we didn't talk about with Loretta's, and since I actually got to ride at that one, I got to see the track a little bit more
Hell
intimately.
yeah, you did. Tell me about it.
We raced on Saturday in ahead of the ATVs, which is something that people beg for forever, right? Everybody wants to race before the quads, and I didn't like it.
Perfect.
I hate to say that. I mean, and I'm sure all these freaking old school guys on KTM talk that like cutting down their bars and banging into trees the whole time they ride probably won't really dig it. But man, I kind of prefer the tracks. Just I don't need a highway through the woods. Like some tight stuff every now and then, but I kind of like it when the quads go first.
Yes.
and I talked to a lot of guys, that race, the afternoon race, that even mentioned that they felt like the track ended up being rougher because it didn't get packed down. It stayed so soft, and then with the amount of bikes that we have at a GNCC, that the track ended up beating them up more than they would expect if the ATVs had been there, because it didn't get packed down at all. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. Sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for, right?
Heck yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, because that is definitely a point. I remember I had that conversation with Barry Hawk, and he talked about how he's tried to go back and forth and try to figure out a way to, as you say, make people happy. What are they asking for? Things like that. So, we want more single track. We want to have less highway, as you actually put it very well. But I don't think people, because of the fact that if you race enduros and you go to a GNCC, absolutely, it's like, it feels like a highway. It's not a double track. It's a highway, because these guys, they're not just one quad going through the exact same, lane every time. They're blowing that trail out. They're picking other lines. So, I mean, once the quads go through, they really do kind of push everything to the sides. But, so if you were to go on like a four-wheeling trail, it might be different and it might not be as wide. But yeah, I mean, what I heard about all the trail on Saturday was that all the virgin trail they built was like super tight. Like Jen Kenyon told me she had a lot of trouble getting through there. How would you say that the virgin trail was?
There was some super tight stuff. There was one little real tight section, but I mean that was the only thing where you kind of had to wiggle your bars through. So I don't know. Jen's raced a little bit more motocross. I've done a more off road in the last 5 years, so I've kind of seen a little bit more maybe than she has. So my opinion might be a little bit different, but I didn't think it was super super tight, but it was just hard to pass out there, and that was the thing that I really noticed. And Rod, we did the vendor challenge and we started on the very last row.
Yeah.
And I'm not really that fast, but there were some riders in front of us that were a good bit slower than me.
Than y'all.
And I'd say the speed disparity is pretty close to what the pros would run into against a B rider or an A rider. Like, so you run into some people going a fair bit slower than you, and then you try and figure out what the heck you're going to do to get around them. And I wasn't racing for money, so I didn't really care, and I just kind of bide my time back there waiting. But I can only imagine that they had a tough time getting around in some places where, where there would have been at least a quad width wide to go around. So yeah, that was kind of interesting, and I feel like maybe that track kind of suited Paul Whibley anyway.
Yeah.
He ended up winning, and all the drama and everything aside with the start and everything, I think he probably would have won if Caleb would have hole shot. I don't know. I mean, that track reminded me a lot. I've only ever ridden one OMA, but it reminded me a lot more of like what an OMA would be like, because obviously they don't race the ATVs there first.
Yeah.
And it was a lot tighter, a lot more more single track-ish stuff, and obviously Paul does fairly well at those things.
Right,
so
yeah.
I think it might have been a little bit closer. So
with the resurgence of the J-Day off-road program or series, do you think that the way that the trail was on Saturday might have resembled one of those? Obviously, we've just seen it through videos, but I wanted to know what you thought about that. I mean, obviously, it looks like the width of some of the more blown out ATV stuff, but without the packing that you're talking about. Once thousands and thousands and thousands of ATVs go over the exact same terrain. But so if the earth is still kind of nice and tilled, would that, you think that that's kind of maybe why the J-Day off-road is kind of taken off?
no, I don't know. I don't think it's the quad thing. I think the J-Day stuff's taken off because it's spectator friendly and the races are shorter. So it's, I think personally that's what would entice me, is racing for half an hour and then getting a break and then getting to do it again, because I'm old and fat and out of shape. Those tracks get freaking gnarly from the looks of it. They get super rough, and they got a lot of sand and stuff up there. So yeah, I don't know about all that. I've never raced one, so I don't want to comment too much on it.
So which one are we going to go to?
In my opinion, what makes those things good is the length of the track, and spectator and media friendly, and the track layouts look like they're a lot of fun too, and good mixture, some moto stuff, but the shorter format would be nice. You don't have to be out there for a couple hours.
Yeah. So which one are we going to go race? Which one?
Dude, I wanted to go up to one so bad this year, and I just wasn't able to make it happen. That's a long haul up there.
Yeah.
So John Day was asking me to come shoot some video, and I told him I'd love to come up, but if I'm coming, I'm riding. I'm not driving all that way just to shoot video. That's for sure.
You could pay me to be in here, but that's not what I want to do.
One next year, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we should figure it out. I'd tell you that I'd shoot video, but I won't, because I want to ride too, because it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Besides, I don't shoot video like you do, so it doesn't really matter. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I shoot that way. Is that good?
That's okay. All right. So, Jason Hooper, we're at the point now where I want to know what's coming up. What are you looking forward to? Are you looking forward to next year racing? Are you looking to the races next year? Are you looking forward to tomorrow? What is Jason Hooper looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to some time off.
Tell us.
I want maybe in doing some riding myself. It's kind of nice to have an off weekend where I can load my bike up and go ride, and I'm going to do that this weekend with my buddy up in Asheville. So I'm pumped on that. Yeah, I've been on the grind for so long, dude. It's just I'm pretty worn out. I've I don't know, just so much stuff. So I kind of nice to just recharge the batteries because I still love what I do and I love going to the races, but I don't think I've ever been this glad for a season to be over. So yeah, you saw I posted it the other day on Facebook. 13 GNCCs, and it's for me. I shoot the ATVs too, so that's like 26 separate races, 9 national enduros. We did the 6 days. It's been a pretty busy year, and obviously I don't get to just twiddle my thumbs when I'm at home during the week. So
Yeah.
I'm not looking for any sympathy or anything like that because all the guys that race all those series and work 9 to 5s and or 8 to 7s or whatever, they've got it probably rougher than I do. But man, I'm stoked to just hang out at home and go out and see my family for Thanksgiving and stuff like that. And just I'm sure by the middle of December I'm going to be wishing I was going to a race, but I just want a break, dude. That's all I'm looking forward to.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, we're looking forward to making sure that you get it. I was supposed to race the Red River Enduro, or I'm supposed to work the Red River Enduro this coming up weekend for TSEC, but I think I'm just going to show up and race. I typically work that race just because I like the Drake beer, I like to hang out at Red River. It's a tough property. They put on a really hard race, but mainly because that way I can get points for all the series, but I haven't been racing this year. I've been doing more media shit and hanging out and goofing off. I'm like, F it. I'm going to go race and goof off. And then after that, I think it's some Toro going on for round 2. So I think I'm going to be doing some racing, man.
Dude, that's awesome.
Interesting.
I was pumped to race at Loretta's. It's been a while since I've tried to race at Ironman, but it just didn't really quite work out. So
yeah, you got like
yeah,
one
man,
lap in, right?
it's fun. I forgot how much fun it can be, to get out there. And that's why we all got into this stuff to begin with, right? Because we liked riding and racing. So get back to it. It's cool.
Yeah. All right, well, dude, give us I unfortunately, I'll have to call myself out again. I fucked up. I did not get a chance to make a nice little lower third so that you look really professional as we say it. But, Mr. Jason Hooper, tell us who you're associated with and where we can find you on the internet.
Well, you can find our website. It's just www.digitaloffroad.com, or on Twitter at digitaloffroad, Instagram at digitaloffroad, Facebook.com/digitaloffroad. YouTube.com/digioffroad.
Digi.
I don't know why I did that one.
You got short with it, huh?
Yeah, we're all over the place, man.
I love it.
Can't miss.
Well, I have a lot of fun. I go to Digital Off-Road all the time and check it out just because of the fact that it's a really good place to get news. I can go watch all their videos and then I can embed them on my site, so that's fun too. And if I was talking about my site, it would be Seat Time, which is seattime.co. All these shenanigans, that's where they're posted. We have YouTube stuff. We got all kinds of fun junk. If you were to follow us on Facebook, it would be facebook.com/seattime. That is where we Facebook it really hard and make fun of all of our friends. And then on Twitter, where we like to tweet people as often as possible and maybe as hard as we can, it's seattime_CEO on Twitter. So we as well are all over the place. We are unfortunately nowhere near as famous as Mr. Jason Hooper and his site, digitaloffroad.com, but we're trying. We're having fun. We're goofing off. We might, one day have more than 2 followers. I don't know.
Famous.
Yep, that's it. Famous. All right, Mr. Jason Hooper, I'm gonna leave the camera on you, and we're gonna. You don't have any more beer, do you?
I'm empty, bro.
Okay,
but
we can. Dink. There you go. All right, I appreciate the good time. Oh, that's a nice koozie though.
There was a drop.
I'm gonna switch koozies just so that way I look more official. Hold on, I'm fucking this up. I've had too many. I won't lie. All right, Jason, I appreciate your time. If nothing else, always enjoy a pint full of awesome. Have fun out there, dude. And we'll see you soon.
All right.
See you soon, eh?
All right, sounds good.
All right,
see ya.
Peace.